Okay, we're recording. This is Tyler with Lossless Media. We're doing another interview with Impish. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my online name is Impish, and I'm an 18-year-old artist. Recently, I've been really getting into Blender. I started getting into Blender during COVID, and I've realized that just getting into 3D in general has been a way to further express my artistic voice in ways that 2D art was limiting me to be able to do so.
Awesome. I actually had a question about Blender specifically. I was going to ask you, how do you feel Blender has influenced your art and art direction? And if it's for the better, how so? Do you want to explain a little bit further?
Yeah, I feel like Blender is just honestly the perfect software for any sort of indie artist that just wants to do their own thing, because first of all, it's completely free, and a lot of other softwares you have to pay like $50 a month. And just the workflow of Blender, like anything you've ever wanted to do in like a 3D software is available on Blender. Because I know people who use 3ds Max instead of Blender. They usually have to use different softwares as part of the workflow. For example, ZBrush or Photoshop or something, and it just keeps adding on to the cost of the workflow. But with Blender, it's all just one streamlined workflow, all in one software.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I'd say that's my favorite part about it.
That's definitely the number one thing that gets people into the software. I think that, and it being open source. I think being open source definitely drives people to the software because so many more people have access to it.
Yeah, totally.
How would you define the artwork you create? I want to touch on just my opinion on your style before we get too deep into this, because the first time I saw your artwork on Instagram, or maybe I saw it in the Discord or something, but I really love the work you create and the artwork you make, because I think it's super unique and I haven't seen anyone do a style quite like yours, and I think that's really cool for an artist that, as far as I'm aware, is not super deep into their career or anything. Is that true? I mean, have you been drawing all your life, or?
Well, obviously, everyone knows how to draw to some extent as a kid, but I started really getting into it when I was 13. And it's funny because when I was around that age, my art looked vastly different than what it is now. Not gonna lie, I was making furry art at that time. So it's very much different from what it is now. And just over time, my style and my interests just started to evolve. And then now I'm just at this place where I'm just very comfortable with what I'm creating, and I really feel like the type of stuff I'm creating is an actual expression of myself. And also something I noticed is that before I used to do just a lot of commissions for people, and I wouldn't really pay as much attention to what I actually like drawing. But once I was able to just kind of come to realization of the stuff that I actually enjoyed drawing and not being afraid to experiment, I was able to actually cultivate a style that I was happy with.
I think it takes some people a long time to find that style for themselves. I think I'm still doing that to this day. I think people do it maybe forever to some extent, but it's really impressive to see the style you've made. And I think part of that might be because you started so early. I think I didn't take drawing seriously again since because everybody draws as a kid, but I don't think I took it seriously again until maybe a year ago. But drawing is a lot of fun. I'm looking at your Instagram here, and one of my favorite part about your art is the characters and the whole world you're kind of building around these characters. And it's really cool. The latest post, you just made these the models in 3D.
Honestly, I feel like my latest post is one of my favorite pieces. Okay, just a second.
Yeah, no worries. Let me just say, if you put this latest post on a t-shirt, that would go crazy. It would go crazy. I think people would buy that up.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah, I think it'd be really cool. Let me explain it kind of for anybody listening on audio. It's these three characters, very unique, all have their own individual style. The one in the middle is holding a ball and chain with spikes on it. There's one in the back with a samurai sword or something like that, and another guy or gal, not sure, with a ring of a spiky ring or something. But the composition of the picture itself, I think, would go crazy on a shirt.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even think of that, and now that you mention it, I think that'd be a really good idea. Also, stickers, I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you plan to do anything like that?
Yeah, probably.
Awesome.
Like right now, I feel like I just don't have as much resources to actually do it. But
I mean,
once
you
I'm
can always
able to,
start
yeah.
small with stickers and stuff too. I think that's a great way to get into it, and you're right, that would work perfectly.
So I think like this news piece is my favorite because I've used inspiration from so many different things. Like for example, the guy's like sword thing. I got inspired by this anime I watched called Huseki no Kuni, and one of the characters has I think it's called an ice saw. Yeah, an ice saw, and I thought it was just like a really cool, like unique sort of weapon. So I wanted to incorporate that into it. And then for forgot what it's called.
One of the
I'm trying
weapons.
to remember the name of the saw on the name of the left. Yeah, I can't remember.
That's okay. So you're pulling inspiration from
Yeah.
different animes you watch?
Yeah, from different animes I watch, and for the saw on the left, I actually saw it first on Roblox. Like it's really funny, but I've been playing Roblox for like since like 2016, and that weapon is like one of the weapons on Roblox. So I just wanted to like pull inspiration from that.
Oh, that's
So I
cool.
just kind of made like my own version of it, and then the chain with the ball is also inspired from an anime I watched because I watched, I think it's called ReZero,
Oh
and
yeah,
there's a
I've seen
character
ReZero.
that, yeah, there's a character that also has like a ball and chain thing. Yeah, I thought it was like really cool when she was like swinging it around and stuff. And
Yeah.
that'd be really like fun and interesting to animate.
Are you talking about when I think it's Ram like turns
Yeah,
evil,
yeah,
or maybe she has it
yeah.
beforehand? I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the show, but I definitely know the weapon you're talking about.
Really like drawing inspiration from just random stuff that like sometimes isn't even that related to art.
Yeah, I can see that, and I think that's really cool. You make games as well, and it says in your bio that you go to school for that.
Yeah, currently I'm still in high school, but I take this kind of pre-college class that we just do game development for 2 hours.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that's what I mean when I say I'm going for game development. I'm also planning on going to college for game development this year. So yeah, I'm also doing that. And then honestly, I'm not really that confident in like coding and stuff yet. Yeah, so I'm really interested in trying to learn more game development because in the future, I feel like it would be really fun to become a sort of indie developer. Like my plan is to graduate from college and then maybe get a job at like a small studio and then do kind of like indie development on the side.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to incorporate the current like 3D stuff and like all the characters and stuff into indie games.
Yeah.
And I'm learning like a few different softwares. I've like in my class I've mostly learned Unreal Engine, but the one I've liked the most is Godot. Cause honestly, it almost like feels like Blender in a strange way. Like it's very,
It's open source, right?
yeah, it's open source and it's very user friendly.
I also get updates on my phone every once in a while, like articles about Godot and their new releases, and it seems like they are just like pumping out new versions of that software all the time.
Yeah, it's really like amazing, and like to the contrary of that, like the software I was using the most before was Unity, but then I started seeing like all the news and stuff about Unity, and then I don't know, I just got the feeling that it was going like downhill.
What's the
And
news?
I don't know, I saw some few articles and stuff about like I think like a bunch of like the workers quitting and stuff.
Oh,
Yeah, also I just feel like it's a software that has like a lot of stuff I wouldn't really need in the first place. I'm probably not gonna be rendering in like photorealism or anything. So I think Godot is just like pretty lightweight and it does everything that I'd like it to do.
that's perfect. And I think you do have a big advantage in a way, having delved into 3D and modeling and texturing and doing all of this, because I think that gives you a huge leap forward, especially in game design where everything is 3D.
Yeah, totally.
You know, you can make any of the assets yourself and kind of combine those two skills perfectly. I think those go hand in hand.
Yeah.
So one of my questions on here is, where do you want to take your career? Do you see yourself doing purely game design after college or something different? And if you did have the opportunity to work at a game studio, do you have any in mind that you would particularly enjoy working at?
Well, so after college, I feel like there's a lot of different routes I could take. Or like, well, for sure, I know I don't really want to work at any big studios because I just feel like it wouldn't be that fulfilling to like work for like kind of like someone else's dream. So I'd
Yeah.
rather just work for a small studio where it's more laid back and like I've been looking at a lot of like advertising studios, like studios that kind of make ads in 3D. So this summer I'm actually getting an internship at this one studio, and they basically just make like ads for people. Like they'll do like 3D models of a shoe or something and have it like spin around as like an ad. And I kind of like that because it's more laid back. Like there aren't, I mean, there's still deadlines, but they probably aren't as hardcore as like if you're working for Fortnite or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be
And
cool.
then I feel like there's a lot of different things that I could do on the side. Something I liked doing even before I did 3D is I'd make album covers for music artists. I kind of stopped doing it once I learned 3D because I wanted to focus more on learning 3D. But I think once I'm actually comfortable with where I am regarding like 3D stuff, I'm probably gonna start making like album covers and maybe even like 3D visualizers for people. And I think that'd be like another fun thing that I could do on the side.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think the beauty of 3D is that it opens so many different worlds, and I kind of forget sometimes how versatile just knowing one skill can be, because you're right, you can kind of get a job in any of these industries.
Yeah.
Like the skill is very transferable, and that's really cool. So that's exciting. Do you have anything you'd like to talk about regarding your art?
I think one of the things that like a lot of people ask me is like, where do you get your motivation for actually creating art? And I feel like one of the main things is that you have to realize that like 50% of the time you're not even going to have motivation. So you just got to remember like why you're doing it, and you have to remember that you want to actually do the things you're enjoying. Like for example, like it's easy to get lost in like, I don't know, doom scroll through Instagram for a super long time, but when I ask myself like, do I actually enjoy doom scrolling through Instagram? And then I'm like, no, I don't. So and then I ask myself like, what do you actually enjoy doing? And I'm like, I enjoy like creating art and 3D modeling. And then I realize like, then maybe I should be 3D modeling right now instead of doom scrolling through
Yeah.
Instagram.
I think what you just said
Yeah.
is incredible, and it takes people so long to realize that, and I have to remind myself of that all the time. I think that advice that you said, what was it, that you're not going to be motivated 50% of the time, it might even be less than that. You're not going to be motivated a lot of the time, especially if you have other things going on in your life and you don't have a lot of free time. Like you really got to push to make certain things happen, and push to make, like, you know, if you have 30 minutes a day free, to make that work for yourself, and really do the things that you know you enjoy instead of sitting back and doom scrolling. So I think that specifically is super important and really smart what you just said. So I agree.
Yeah, and another thing is, there's this thing I always think about that I heard another artist say in an interview, and it's basically that, like, as an artist, you're gonna have, like, 3 different mindsets. One of them is gonna be that you feel, like, super low. The other one is you're kind of in the middle, you're kind of neutral. And then the other one is that you're super motivated and, like, want to do anything. And he basically said that you have to have 3 reasons to keep going for each type of, like, mood. So basically, like when you're feeling super low, you have to have like this kind of like evil reason for keeping going, which would be like, I just want to prove like everyone wrong that I can actually achieve this. And then for the neutral one, it would be a neutral reason, which would be like I'm just gonna keep going because this makes me happy and I really enjoy doing this. And then your third reason would be one that's kind of like positive. I want to make people all over the world like happy with my art and like inspired and stuff.
That's really cool. I've never heard that before. That's very interesting.
Yeah, I got it from the artist. I think his name is like Angel Ganev. But it's because I used to be more into painting when I was younger. So I would watch a lot of his videos because he does more like painting style stuff. Yeah, I think you can get like a lot of inspiration from artists who aren't even like in the same genre.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. Okay, so I have 2 quick questions. One is, I want you to talk for just a minute or 2 about your fascination with bugs, because I'm going to tell you real quick, bugs scare the hell out of me. I think they're creepy and crawly, but you make them look cool and you make them look very aesthetic and pleasing, and I like the way you draw the bugs. So tell me about your fascination with bugs.
Yeah, thank you. So basically, my fascination with bugs is that I feel like a big thing in my art is just kind of reconnecting to stuff I enjoyed in my childhood. For example, like like the Roblox thing. And I also really liked bugs when I was younger. Like I would always kind of like collect them on the playground and stuff and like make them like houses and stuff out of sticks. And I just think like they're one of those things that people don't really pay that much attention to because they're so small.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a lot of inspiration that you can get from them because they're like really colorful. And another thing I like to do in my art is like use really like defining shapes. And I feel like bugs naturally have very defining shapes in just like how they are.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, I love that about your style, and I love every time you post just seeing what you're going to do next. So I'm excited to see where you go. I have one last question, which is kind of a lead up to future interviews. Do you have 1 to 2 artists, and you can think on this and get back to me if you need to, but do you have any artists that you would recommend for an interview, or people that you know that you think might deserve a little bit more attention in the community or in other artistic communities? It doesn't have to be 3D or visual art, but anybody that you know that you think deserves a little bit of time in the spotlight.
Well, I have like so many favorite artists. I feel like I'd have to message you again, but
Sure.
But like the first one that comes to mind would be Snail War. Like her work is honestly probably like my favorite style of animations. I just feel like her work is just super fluid, and I don't know, it's like the characters are like actually like alive.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen someone do it as well as her. And another one would be, their name is like Chippy or Chippy Zone or something like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I feel like their work is like super good too because they do a lot of stuff in like all sorts of different styles, and I really see that they're like really experimenting with the capabilities of Blender, and they're just doing a bunch of stuff that like I haven't seen anyone else do.
Yeah, absolutely. Chippy is exploring the boundaries of Blender. I really enjoy seeing their posts as well. Those are 2 great ones. Thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for answering questions and taking a little bit of your time today. Hopefully I can get you back eventually, maybe in a little while, and see how things are going, if things have changed, and see how life is going.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you coming on today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. Any last words before we call it a day?
I don't think so. I hope you have a good day.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to say goodbye to the podcast. Goodbye.
Goodbye.